Eli was standing by his best friend, David. They were standing outside the first classroom for waiting for the teacher to show up. They were just small talking about some random stuff. But when suddenly the teacher did show up and let them inside. As they were just sitting down, there was a knock on the door. It was apparently the principal. The principal was very much said, "Oh, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting the class." But the teacher said that he hasn't even really started class yet, so he asked the principal what he can help with it. He was actually telling that they were a new student that's gonna be joining the class. And the teacher said, "Well, but you don't let the new student in." So the principal let in a young girl into the classroom. "Everyone, this is Maxine. Maxine is a new transfer student, and I really wish that everyone here would welcome her here with kindness and respect as this school stands for. And I'm actually looking for a volunteer that will be showing her around at the school today." And suddenly, no one was even offered the best to that, except "Principal, I can do it," said Eli. "I knew I can count on you, Eli." Eli was actually one of the most popular guys in the school, and he was very well respected by the teachers and among his fellow students. He is the type of person who wants to help anyone, no matter what they have for problems. But at least he is always there to help around. So Maxine was standing there with the teacher, and he said, "Well, Maxine, why don't you tell me something about yourself?" So she stood there a little bit shy and a little bit nervous. She said that she had just moved to town with her mom, and she was very much looking forward to start this new school and hopes to make new friends and just make the best of it. So the teacher thanked her and allowed her to sit just behind David. And the rest of the class, things went normal. After class was over, David was standing outside in the hallway with Eli, waiting for Maxine to walk out. "Hi, Maxine. My name is Eli, and this is my best friend David. Um, I'm the one that's going to be showing you around. So, are you ready?" She just nodded. She was a bit too shy to even speak. "Well, I will probably see you later though at lunch break," said David. "Yeah, you will. So, see you later. See ya." So, Eli took with Maxine, showed her around the school, like to find the principal's office, the nurse's office, the gym class was gonna be, the library, and some other places that were much important to find. And he did mention, "You know, I actually had a very hard time to find around when I first started here myself." She looked at him a little bit and chuckled a bit. "Oh, really?" "Yeah. The first time was supposed to find math class, which is we were in. Let's say I did end up in the English classroom instead. Oh, that must be a very tough to handle." "You bet it was. Everyone in the classroom was laughing about my mistake. But can you even blame though? I was a whole new day in the school, and yeah, it literally made me felt embarrassed for the rest of the day." And David has still not given up their try to tease me about it. Ever since then, every time when we're talking about our first day in school, he always brings that up. And that always makes him laugh about it, but I don't blame him. I mean, what if it was his first day and he made the first mistake? Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, it was kind of like when I was in middle school myself. Yeah, anyone has to find a new place, and that's can be a bit of pain in the butt, said Eli. After he showed around, though, it was until around lunchtime when Eli was sitting with David by a table. W was just sitting there, just small talking, and suddenly, when he saw Maxine standing by it with holding a tray and wondering where she was going to sit, and she walked, and Eli went over to her, and she walked over, but then she was stopped. "Hey, where are you going?" said another girl by the name Sarah. Sarah was actually known as a school bully. Even here's the part. She had been bullying a lot of students ever since she first started at the high school, but no one did even dare to tell anyone. Those students who had been bullied hasn't even been there to be telling a teacher or a parent or even in this case the principal. Because this particular high school has non-bullying policy, meaning that if someone ended up being severely bullying, they could be suspended for either 2 weeks or even the worst case, being expelled. And why is the reason why that no one actually told anyone? It's because Sarah said, "If you dare tell anyone, I will make your time here a living nightmare," meaning that she would make the bullying even take a whole new level. So Sarah also had a huge crush on Eli, and he was actually aware of it, but he pretended that he wasn't even aware of it. "I'm just going to sit with my friend Eli." "You're not sitting with my friend, your hand, because he's not your friend. If you are in the seat, sit over there," said Sarah, pointing across the room. "You're a nerd and you're staying over there. That is the rule." "Rule?" "Yes. This school has a rule. Nerds sit by nerds. Popular with popular," Sarah said with an angry tone. And Maxine, she didn't want to argue with on her very first day in his high school. So she just did what she was being told, so she walked around and sat down on a different table across the room. "What just happened?" said Dave. "Not again. Do you mean Sarah's rules?" "Yeah. I can understand why that no one has to stand up against her. And that she declares Maxine a nerd because she's a first day in this high school. This is gonna be too much now. I mean, think about it. Last month, when we just first started school, one of the students actually was a friend of ours. He couldn't handle the pressure anymore, so he just dropped out. And it's not surprising if Sarah is the main cause of other people who have been bullying by this," said David a little bit shockingly. "Yeah, I mean, who can else do about it?" Eli just looked at Sarah, who walked away, left the cafeteria, and just left. David and Eli, they were just sitting there and trying to move on and talk something else. Even though Eli could see that Maxine was sitting by on a different table, feeling that she looked a little bit scared, terrified. This was actually her first day in a whole new school, and this strange girl claiming that she's now a nerd and that she isn't even allowed to say by anyone that she is, well, like quote unquote, that Sarah thinks or Claire is a popular student. And it turns out that this was actually her own rules. She placed that she made the schools as has official nerds and popular student rules, but in fact they don't have it. But after school was over, Eli was standing by his car about to drive home when he heard a voice behind him. "Hey Eli," and he turned around because he knew the voice was Sarah. "Oh, hey Sarah, are you doing anything particular after school today?" "No, but Actually, yes, I do have some homeworks to have to do, and I do have some chores at home. And he wasn't lying. He did have some homeworks, and he did have some chores to do at home, but it wasn't much chores. But he tried to avoid being around Sarah as much as possible. Not because she is, mostly due to the fact she has been a bully of others at the school, and he has no tolerance of that. Oh, maybe next time? Uh, yeah, I mean, it depends if I have some chores for my parents told me to do. Parents of Candy. Yeah, she said, rolled her eyes, and she walked away. But before Sarah was walking away, oh, by the way, yeah, do you maybe want to help me with my homeworks? Maybe someday? I mean, I had struggles with the homework. Yeah, I mean, I can do that. I mean, I don't mind. Sarah's actually knowing that Eli doesn't hesitate to help anyone. But even when she was asking, it was like he was going to hesitate to say yes at all, but he didn't. But after she walked away, Sarah was just happy inside herself to have to talk to him, and maybe this could be a great moment that she could make it ask him to be her boyfriend, he thought. But as he was in the car, he noticed on the sidewalk Maxine was standing there. She was just looking at her phone, and he drove up to her and asked, "Hey, Maxine. Oh, hey, Eli. Are you looking for any ride home?" "Oh, yeah, my mom was supposed to be here, but turns out she had to do some overtime at job, and yeah. I mean, if you want, I can just drive you home, though." Like, are you serious? I mean, I don't want to take you a detour from your home. Nah, no worries. I don't have any much anymore, so I've been rushing home too. Anyways, yeah, okay. So she hopped in the car, and they were just small talking. So, what do you think about school so far? It is actually not that bad. I mean, I did enjoy it. I made a few new friends, which is a positive thing. Yeah, I saw what happened in the cafeteria at lunch. Yeah, you should know that Sarah she is the school's bully, and he explains that despite that she is a bully, no one has ever stand up against her. Never. Never? Never. Wow. That sucks. Yeah. He said a little bit chuckle. After that, he dropped her off and he drove home. For the next couple of days, Eli was standing by his locker and talking to David as normal, when suddenly they heard a voice behind him. "Hey guys." And when they both turned around, they were expecting to see Sarah. But it wasn't even her. It was actually Maxine. "Oh, hey. So, do you want something?" Uh, Not really. Just wanted to say hi before I go to my first class." "Alright. See you." uh, then she walked away. But as she was walking, she heard a voice behind her. "Hey." And she turned around expecting to maybe see one of her new friends. But it was not. It was actually Sarah. "What did I tell you? You're not allowed to talk to any of the Parker's students," said Sarah a little bit angry. And for the rest of that, there were no other students or any staff in the hallway. It was just two of them. And then Sarah walked up to Maxine, almost into her face. "If you even dare to talk to him, I dare you. If you even dare, I will make your life here a living nightmare. You hear me? A living nightmare." And then she turned around and walked away. Maxine was standing there now, terrified. This was a whole new level that Sarah was been taking, he thought. But later that same afternoon, when she got home, she called Eli because he actually given her phone number, and they were just small talking when suddenly she brought this topic about Sarah. Are you serious? She said that? Yeah, I'm getting terrified. Had she ever done that before? And it was a silent moment. Yes. You see, a month before you started the high school, a friend of mine who were also claimed as a nerd by Sarah was bullied by her and he dropped out of school. He did what? And no one told anyone? No, he made an excuse to his parents and the principal. The reason why he dropped out is because he didn't like school anymore. Even though he was offered to be transferred to the school, but he didn't take it. Oh wow. I mean, I just can't stand that happened to me. You're not the only one. So after that moment, Eli had enough. He wanted to tell Sarah to back off or at least stop the bullying, but no matter how much he wanted to do it, he knew that she probably would target Sarah, Maxine, or maybe some others, some she claimed as nerds, even worse. So he didn't. After a couple of weeks, things started to be as normal for everyone. Sure, Sarah did tease Maxine from time to time in the hallways, since Maxine did stay away from Eli and David for most part. But what Sarah didn't know that Eli and Maxine were talking on the phone when they were at home, or that Eli drove home to Maxine to hang out. But after about a couple of weeks, something would eventually change. Because one afternoon, when Eli was about to drive home, he saw that Maxine was standing by the sidewalk again. And he drove up to her, and same thing. Her mom was overdue overtime at work, so he drove her home. But what they didn't know, Sarah saw this happen in a distance, and she was furious. In her mind, Eli was her boyfriend. Well, supposed to be her boyfriend. And that Maxine is stealing her man if run away from her. So she wanted to do something about it. So the next day, when Sarah was standing by her locker, and there were a few students around, when suddenly she heard a voice almost screaming at her. Didn't I make myself clear? You were supposed to stay away from my man. Sarah was screaming at her, just standing like 2 to 3 feet away from her. And Maxine just stood there by her locker, turned around, and she didn't even try to make any excuse. She said, he offered to drive me home. And this was after school, not even at school time. But then Sarah said, that rules is not only about school time, even after. What? Are you saying I'm not allowed to hang out with one of my friends even after school, not even at the place they live? No, said Sarah. He's my man, not yours. In fact, you should drop out of school immediately, or leave, and I'll come back. You can't make me do that, said Sarah Maxine strongly. This actually took Sarah a little bit off guard, but she almost said, if you don't, I will make your life a nightmare. Yeah, you said that before. And so far you haven't. And I think that's just another excuse. Or maybe just a lie. She said now a little bit slower. So Sarah just walked up to her and said, I give you one last warning. Back off. He is mine, and he will never even date an ugly, stupid girl like you. But then she just walked away as nothing had happened. But Maxine, she was terrified. She was literally terrified. And this time, she was almost considering just drop out of school and leave. But she remembered the words that Eli told her. No matter what anyone does towards you or anyone else in school, don't listen. Don't listen. Just ignore. Despite they're giving you threats or anything. Don't give in to them. That will make them win. And don't allow it to happen. So she just stood there, turned around, and walked to class as normal. But that same afternoon, when she was standing by her lock by the sidewalk, she didn't see Eli anywhere, and in fact, she didn't see his car. So it turns out he left a bit earlier. So he assumed that maybe that Maxine actually had already got her mom had picked her up or something. But that same afternoon when she got home, she got a phone call. It was actually Eli. He was just asking her how she was been doing after she got home. She said that she walked home since her mom didn't pick up, and she thought maybe that he was on the left since she didn't see his car. And he said that she didn't see that at the usual time. She explained that she was actually standing by her locker to fix some things in her backpack, so that may have been explained why he didn't see her at the normal time. But then he asked her something. Maxine, there's something I would like to ask you. Oh? Yeah, I know that maybe this is, climatic to even ask on the phone, but would you maybe want to go out with me? Maxine was stunned. First of all, she thinks that Eli is quite handsome for even his own age. He's very smart, brave, and now he's asking her out on a date, an official date. She didn't know what to answer at first. It was like a silence which felt almost eternity. But it was only like a few seconds before she said, yeah, I would like that. So both actually agreed to go to the movies on the same Friday afternoon. Her mom was going to drive her over to the movie theaters, and it actually went normally that. Because on Friday, she was waiting by the movie theaters, and so shortly afterwards, Eli did show up. And they actually had a great time. And she mentioned afterwards that she was a little bit didn't expecting that Eli would ask her out. But he said, well, I mean, you're a really beautiful girl, and you're brave, smart, and very comfortable, really confident to be around, so why not? But then she mentioned about Sarah. Don't bother by her. I mean, if you won't even do anything, let me handle that. And after that, he drove her home, and nothing happened. But after a couple of weeks more, they went on several more dates. Sometimes he was actually took her home to his place, and he had a homemade dinner and a movie night. There was a night after their 5th date when they made it official, but they planned to keep it a secret, especially at the school. Most of all from Sarah. But Eli knew that this wouldn't be able to keep it a secret for long, and he was right. Somehow it came out. People started talking to Eli and Maxine as they were a romantic couple, and the last person to find out was actually Sarah. When she found out, she flipped out. She was expecting that Eli would never going to be dating us, such ugly girl Her words, not his. But when she walked up to Eli in a hallway, like, so, I heard you and Maxine are a couple. Is that true? Eli first didn't just want to lie at her, but at this point he knew it was impossible to do so because at this point the whole school knew about it already. So, and he said, yeah, we are actually dating, and I'm actually happy for it. She actually makes me quite happy. Oh? Yeah, she is unlike most girls at school, very brave, confident, very smart girl, and I actually like that about her. Sarah was actually quite silent for a moment. He was expecting her to just flip out, screaming, freaking out, but it was not that even at all. Well, I'm happy for you though. He was taken aback because it did react. He was expecting a freak out reaction towards her, but nothing. Oh, thanks. I'm just happy to have someone like her in my life. So, are you two planning to go out on anything this weekend? No, not really. We were originally doing, but I have other plans. We even had to help around at home, so. And she was actually not being in town because she's gonna be out of town for about a weekend with her mom. Oh, so maybe you want to hang out something? Uh, that depends if I have time, he said. I have a lot of chores and I don't know if my parents are having anything else planned. I will let you know though. She nodded and walked away. But deep in her heart, she was furious. She wanted to scream, but she acted calmly. But even though it should have been a red flag for Eli, or even in this case, Maxine, but none of them even took this invitation as a problem. But things would eventually make a lot of dark turn eventually. But the rest of the week, that same week and the same weekend, Eli did actually have a lot of plans to make it being taken care of. He had some homeworks and had to help around the house, and his parents actually had invited a family friend for dinner, so he had to stay there at the time. But when he went back to school on Monday, he was looking around for Maxine, and he even asked David if he had seen her. And he said, yeah, actually, she was by her locker and she was talking to some of her friends, but oh, that's good. So, how was your weekend? He said. Busy with my parents. A family friend came over for dinner, but the basic things happens. What about you? He asked David. Playing games all weekend. They should probably call me. As if you could beat me in Call of Duty, he said. Huh, David, I did beat you twice. Oh, yeah, twice. That was like what? Lucky chance and ever happen again? You know what? On Friday, at your place, I will beat you. Oh, yeah, bring it on, said David, with a little chuckle with a smirk to them. But the rest of the day, they were actually just having a normal school day. Maxine went to the tables where the so-called nerds were sitting, but things actually looked but different. Sarah didn't acting much of bowling towards Maxine, since Maxine was sitting by the nerds. That didn't make any sense for Sarah to freak out or telling her. But she did telling out her nerves in the school where to not to be doing or not to be allowed to talk to any popular students. But things would eventually then get dark. As Friday came along, David actually took with Eli to his place, and they decided to spend the night or in the whole weekend to play games, like having like a game, having this like a game marathon weekend. But what he didn't know that Maxine's mom had was actually been was out of town for a conference for a couple of days for this weekend. So Maxine was home alone. But what he didn't expect what happened, because as the weekend came and went, he was actually hearing that Maxine wasn't in the school. And he assumed maybe that she was just late, but she didn't show up. So, but later he found out from David that she was actually at home because she wasn't feeling well. She was just having a cold or something. Since it was actually in the late autumn at that point, so he actually accepted that. So he decided to call her after school was over. She did answer, and he asked her how she was feeling, and she said that she was just feeling a little bit out of weather, a little bit cold, a little bit warm, like that for a moment. But he said that he wished that her could get recovered soon again and make her feeling better, and they continued the small talk for a little bit. And he said, I will take you out on a date as soon as you're getting better. She said thanks, and said that she was going to take a nap, and they hang out. As about a week later, Maxine came back to school as normal, but Maxine did look a little bit tired. She was tired because she didn't get much sleep that night. So Eli asked her how she'd been doing this weekend or like that. Maxine said that she was doing well and that she just had a little bit boring weekend since her mom was also feeling a little out of weather, a bit cold. But both were actually doing kind of okay now, which is Eli was happy to hear. But it was something else. He was asking her if she felt up for going on a date on Friday after school, and she said yes. And she asked what he had in mind. He suggested maybe a movie, and she thought that was actually not a bad idea, so they decided to go to see one of the new romance comedy movie that was on the movie theaters. And after that, they just went to the classes, enjoyed the rest of the day, and as Friday did show up, he waited at the movie theaters for Maxine and her mom to drop her off later on. They actually had a good time, but it was something else in his mind. Because he just wished that all this could stop with Sarah bullying her or others in school, but eventually his wishes one day could be happening, he hoped. And that Monday, about the next week, things would eventually end up seriously. Because when Maxine was in the girls' restroom at school, just getting ready before next class, she heard someone walked in, and it was Sarah. Sarah was actually very much just looking at as normal. She literally walked up standing next to her, and they just at first was silent. When Maxine asked how Sarah's been doing, and she said, I'm fine, just busy with schoolwork. Same here. Even though this was very much unlike Sarah, because she is never even this nice to those she claimed as nerds. Since she said nerds are not allowed to talk to public. And since Sarah claimed herself as a upper student, she wouldn't even dare to talk to nerds. Well, unless she makes a friend student. But this was unlike anything that's from Maxine has seen her even doing. But then Maxine was about to leave when Sarah said, "Hey, can I ask you something?" "Yeah." "Are you happy with Eli?" "Yeah." "Why?" You should probably leave him." "Why?" If you didn't know, he and I actually have been secretly dating behind your back for about 2 months now. She knew that was a lie because there were no records. I mean, Sarah, I don't believe you. Oh, why don't you just go tell him that he and I were actually spending time last week at his place? Yeah, because he was helping you with the homework. Yeah, that's true. But we were also kissing a lot that day. That even statement alone didn't make no sense to her. But Maxine pretended to be like, you are kidding me. But she knew that was a lie. Yeah, it's true. So Maxine pretended to be like, how could he? And then just walked away, and Sarah was smiling like, ha. Next step? Next step is to break them up. But it never came to that, because what you didn't know, it would actually eventually stop. Because in the later that same day, Sarah was standing Maxine was standing by her locker alone. There were a few other students in the hallway, and Sarah just walked up to her and said, "Hey, can I tell you something?" "Yeah." "You know that I told you that Eli was secret and I was secretly dating?" "Yeah." "It's true though." And then Maxine said, "You know, Sarah, yeah, you're telling me a lot of lies. You know that." And I didn't even believe any of that because, you know, Eli has been always been honest and has never lied to me or anyone else in the school. He has a reputation to be a good and always been telling the truth. So why would he even risk his own reputation to spread it talking about lies? And I know that you weren't always been lying about him, and you know, I don't blame you. And then before Maxine was about to walk away, Sarah said, "Well, it is true." But then Maxine turned around and said, "No, it's not a lie. That's just another lie. No one here believes any of your stories, Sarah. You have been bullying anyone here, so, and you know it's a big problem. The only thing is a problem here is you," said Sarah. "You have been stealing my money from me. He's not your man, and even if he would, it would be up to him to decide if he even wanted to be with someone like you, a school bully. Ha! Even if it was true, he would have been the one who'd been allowing to decide. I would be the one to decide if he not to be with who." "No," said someone behind her. Sarah turned around and saw it was actually Eli. "Eli, we were just talking." "Yeah, about me. I heard everything, Sarah. You can't decide who I should be with, not anyone else. That is my choice alone, not yours or anyone else. But don't make it an excuse, Sarah." But then Sarah turned around and said, "Maxine, you see what you did? You're ruining my friendship with Eli. Friendship? We never actually even have friends, Sarah. I knew that you've been bullying others, including Sarah, Maxine." But Sarah didn't even turn around this time. She just started ignoring him, and just continued fighting Sarah and Maxine by calling her such bad names that he didn't want to be repeated. But then, suddenly, "Sarah, can you come over to the principal's office, please? Can Sarah please come to the principal's office, please?" All on speakers. Sarah has never been called over to this principal's office, but she did. And Eli was actually walking behind her in a distance, even she didn't know that. And in the office, her parents were standing there. Mom, Dad, or what you two doing here? Sarah, it has come to my attention you have been bullying other students at the school. And as you know, this school has non-bullying policy. But that's a lie. I never bullied anyone. And no one? No, never. I had never done that. And if anyone's telling that, it's a liar. I have never been doing that. I am a straight A student. That's true. She was an A straight. She was a good student. Otherwise, had good grades. But that was a big charade for her. Please, you can come in now. And then the door opened, and Eli walked in. It's true, Sarah. You have been bullying others. How do you know that? And then he held up his phone and said, "This." And he clicked on the button and showed the recording of her screaming, bullying Maxine at the hallway just only a moment earlier. But then he showed a different and another one. He showed 4 different videos. Some of them was actually even months earlier, during when she just started, at the time when Maxine started high school. You have been recording me as proof of your bullying. I hated that. Maxine told me to do something about it because she couldn't even stand anymore, because you told her to drop out of school. And then suddenly, Sarah's dad said, "Sarah, I can't believe it." Since both her parents went to the same high school as her, even back then there was not much policy against bullying. But they both take it seriously. We had been showing this proof, and even had all the statements from different schools, from different students. You have been bullied for past few months and even a year. And when we have attention that you was the cause of one student drop out because of just constant bullying, we had enough. You are leaving this high school. But Dad, Mom, no. I mean, I'm a good grade student. That doesn't matter. And the principal said, "Listen, Sarah, I have been given an option here. I could have been telling you if you had been not bullying others. If Eli hasn't even given this proof. I did tell him. I could have given you an option. Amends your bullying others students being bullying, and I would give it a second chance, allow it to stay. But as this has been gotten attention, you have been keep doing it for months, in over a year, and even since you started high school, my parents said. I'm sorry, sir, but you are expelled." "You can't do that. I'm a good student." But then Eli said, "Good student, don't make me laugh." Principal? Principal nodded and Eli left. And after that, he could literally had been hearing Sarah's dad screaming from the office. Like, how could my own daughter be like doing this to another fellow students or some other things that he couldn't even heard? And that was actually the last time anyone in the school saw him. Because when on the break, they could see Sarah walking away with her parents, and she felt so ashamed being finally being caught. And the last time Sarah was being heard of, that Eli heard of, that Sarah was taken to a different high school, but this time like a juvenile, or for a school for troubled children. And Maxine was just at least excited and relieved all of this had been taken care of, because she was on the brink of to bring on the moment she just drop out, or even ask her mom so that they could move to a different school. But she didn't, which she was glad she didn't. Included, even after that day, No one didn't even talk about Sarah anymore because that was a memory from the past. Everyone was moving on, and especially Eli and Maxine, because now there was no Sarah or any other boys in the school. Everyone's allowed to be talking or spend time with anyone they wanted to. And especially Maxine was quite happy that Sarah was gone because deep down she was terrified if Sarah would even take the step further to do anything to harm her, or as she stated, quote, I will make your life here a nightmare. She was wondering what she would have done if she hadn't been caught. And that even when she mentioned this to Eli, it said, don't think about it. But even if there were a lot of times when Maxine did think about it, but Eli has right. He was right. Don't think about it since it's not going to be much any problem anymore. Because now Sarah was gone from the high school. There were no worries of being feeling terrified that Sarah was going to show up around the next corner or anything. And in fact, not because of that. It was later found out that Sarah actually left town since her parents moved away from to a different state. That was anyone ever the last anyone heard of her. Even Sarah's own personal social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that things was deleted. And especially Eli, who felt happy. And even David. He said, well, we should probably celebrate this now she's gone. And should probably have a small party. Invite those people back from school to have a party. Well, first there's no problem about that, David, he said. What I mean? Well, knowing that there are like 100 students at school, where do you have in mind to have all of those students? Good point. Since either that Eli, Maxine, or David didn't live in a big house enough or even had a big backyard big enough to have this party. But that actually was later solved, but one of the students actually had a big house and a big yard big enough for all the 100 students. So this particular student, along with Eli and David and Maxine, planned this big party, and there was a big celebration. Everyone has a great time. But it was a lot of times when Eli was thinking, how would things been if Sarah wasn't caught? And if she did make out her threats to make Maxine's life or her time at the high school as a living nightmare. But he didn't think much about it since it was in the past. He moved on. Eventually, both Maxine and Eli finished high school at age 18. Sadly, they weren't being able to go to the same college. Eli was offered to go to a different college in a different state, and he did. Maxine went to another one, but they were only allowed to see each other during the holiday breaks like winter, summer break. But eventually, they finished college, and they moved back to their hometown. And after that, they actually moved in a small apartment in town, and he even proposed to her after they'd been dating for a few years, and she said yes. They decided to have a close wedding, just close friends and close family. It was just a perfect moment. They were just happy then now being married, and they even celebrate by going to a different state to have a small honeymoon over the weekend. And only a few years later, like 4 years later, Eli and Maxine announced they were expecting a baby. And this time was actually a baby girl. And when the daughter was named Anna. And they even expected another baby within a few years later, which they had a boy which they named David, after his best friend. Both was actually just happy how these things turned out. And Eli was just happy to have met her, to met Maxine from the beginning. And this is how Maxine and Eli found a true love got a family together. The end.